Another episode of Indy and the Doctor podcast. Hello.
That's different.
Yes, it is different.
I like it. Go.
Indy and the Doctor podcast. Right, here we go.
Podcast.
Okay. Let's kick it off.
Chalo.
Oh, I lost my link. No, let's kick it off. Found my link. Karan,
Anji.
have you seen the price of Gurdwara events in California?
California, man, in dollars, man. मैं देखा, तुमने दिखाया. But I was like, Indy, ain't that surprising?
We need to talk about this, bro, because this is getting out of control. There's a post on Twitter that I saw saying too much Viah inflation's California.
Yeah.
This is exactly the breakdown. A Darbar Paath at Gurdwara Sahib or home, flat rate, $1,500.
Just out of interest, what's that in pounds? Got them in. Do the thing, man.
USD GBP as of today, because you know Trump might do some wild shit.
Yep. 1500 becomes
£1,100.
Par for the course.
Sarge Bath, even though it's Serge Bath. Sarge Bath.
I was going to say, I love how you self-corrected that there. Serge Part.
Gurdwara Sahib or home.
Part.
Huh?
You're saying Path.
Sorry, Bart. Yeah, sorry. I'm reading it too literally. Now I'm in my head.
No, it's like you're saying Path. The kind of path.
Sarge Bath.
The hedge part.
Bart. Thank you, Bart. I'm reading this wrong. Bart. Okay. Serge Bart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serge Bart. Gurdwara Sahib or home.
Yeah.
$1,500.
Do you know what Serge Part is?
Serge Bart is when you do it slowly over a number of days, is it not?
Exactly. There's no fixed.
Yeah.
So some people can take a year, read Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, have their own private Serge Part,
Fine.
rather than continuous reading.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sukhmani Sahib Bart. I said it again. Sukhmani Sahib Bart and Keaton.
Okay, when you're reading P-A-A-T.
I know. Sorry.
Forget the H. The H is
I'm trying to translate
the H is
literally. Sukhmani Sahib Bart and Keaton.
Yeah.
$600. Gurdwara Sahib or home.
Yeah.
However, discount on Wednesdays, $251 at Gurdwara Sahib. Why?
That's odd. Incentivizing on a Wednesday.
I don't understand.
Like, you know, that's like, you know, on Instagram when we look at metrics to when is the busiest time of the week. They're like, we have no bookings. So to get more bookings on that day, discount rate.
Yeah. I don't get it.
They must
is footfall low at the Gurdwara maybe on that day?
Midweek, lull. I don't know.
Maybe they've got leftover food going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
If you think about it, like the Serge parts, the Sukhmani Sahib parts that we go to, we invited to.
Always on weekends, Saturday, Sundays, peak times.
I mean, you can have it in the week. That's then goes to a different point, right? Which I actually talk about quite often, sort of off camera, which is, let's get your opinion on this now. This is interesting.
Can you hold on?
I can hold on. Just remind me then. That's Sukhmani Sahib part.
Okay, Sukhmani Sahib part. Anand Karaj. Guess how much it is?
Anand Karaj premium. You've given me the number $1,500, which was for the
Akhand part or Serge part.
So I'm going to say around there, or 2 Gs.
$3,500.
Okay. No. Right.
You're actually very unsurprised by this. It's quite worrying.
No, it's because I know you came to Akam's Sukhmani Sahib part.
$2,586. $2,586. Sorry, $2,586 GBP. Pounds.
Yeah.
That is absurd, man.
Akam's Sukhmani Sahib part was £500. So, and I know Karma Gurdwara charges $1,000 for
so you got base rates.
No, but that's quite comparable. I know the thing is, we think California, we think, it must be overinflated, like bloody Hollywood cost.
That is overinflated. £2,500 for an Anand Karaj.
Go back to the account part though, and I'm telling you that a small town in Warsaw is comparable to California. Then does it sound unreasonable? Not that I'm saying like one.
We don't know where it is in Cali, but yeah.
As in, I guess that's why it's not like throwing me. But yeah, when you see a stack like that though, stacked offers. Yeah. This, but if you want the premium, the upsell, obviously that's like there. Imagine if they said if you want entry level Keaton by the kids,
discount
7-year-olds, but if you want premium ragis, fair today, whole rate on the
higher rate, please.
Higher rate, yeah.
Oh wait,
if you want Indy to come and do part, then it's more special rate.
So back to the prices. You wanted to talk about what? Go on. Sukhmani Sahib.
Yeah, so like I said, 2 points to make there is I've had Akam Sukhmani Sahib parts and I'm aware of the costings. And then, so it's on the basis of what you're talking about, the Wednesday and midweek kind of Sukhmani Sahib the part. When you have a part, oh wait, can we talk about your house part or not?
Can if you want, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's open, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So you had part for your house, right?
I did, yeah.
So the part happened here, Namakar. What did you think about in terms of inviting?
I don't want too many people. I just want immediate family. That's it.
Why?
Because I don't want it to get too busy.
Right. Who's the part for?
Us, me, Sanj.
Exactly. And I think that's important. I think the idea of inviting people is fine to partake in the khushi, and ultimately though, you're there for the part, right? So I think for example, if I invite people, I don't get hung up on if people attend or don't attend.
Yeah.
I want to be there listening to Bani, Maharaj, blessings for Ekam, them talking about in the Ekam example. You come, you come. You don't come, you don't come. I don't do this intentionally, but obviously there are some people, and you've probably done this, where you go to some events and you can't stay to the end. For example, you had to be at your dad's birthday.
Yeah.
Right. So you came, and
I came for a bit and then I left.
Yeah. And in the time that I was there, you fine, we're close. We're going to see each other later. But I close my eyes. I'm not going to open my eyes to meet people.
Yeah.
I'm not upstairs in the bar hall to meet people.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are trying to wait for me or catch me, I might open my eyes, but there's no guarantee. And I think you did leave. And
I did try to, but I was like, I can't.
You were like, is he going to?
No, his eyes were closed. I was like, I'm leaving now. Bye.
And so if you did have a part midweek, going back to it, and you're doing the part for, obviously for yourself or whoever, then fair play, man. It's not a social event per se.
Yeah.
Other side to that is obviously encouraging, getting kids to go to the Gurdwara for whatever reason is always a good thing, and you have to build up pyar and that prem from somewhere. So I don't get very hard line with it, but make sure you're having parts for the right reasons. That was the only point I was going to make.
That's fair. I don't like how this is getting expensive. I think this is pricing people out of having a religious blessing of some sort, whether some people are close to Sikhi or not. If you see that and you see the costings, it's going to make you feel a little bit like, why is it so expensive compared to what my parents used to pay? I'm not taking into account, obviously, Gurdwara overhead costs are higher than ever. I understand. Heating, whatever. It's very difficult and inexpensive to run a Gurdwara. As I spoke to Resham about in the past, I get it. But this just feels a bit extortionate. £3,500 for an Anand Karaj. That doesn't sound right. And I've got prices here for costings of 5 Gurdwara in the UK. And we'll go through that in a second. But that is extortionate compared to what I see here.
Okay. So your point there are more about affordability and access, right? So every person every person who's Sikh should be able to afford these things. I think that's a fair point. And then the other side, what you're talking about is like, how every year you take out your broadband, whatever, and then they fix you in. But then April, the CPI index comes in, consumer price index, and then you get this kind of adjusted
Which I
thing.
think Martin Lewis tried to outlaw. For those who don't know who Martin Lewis is, he's the guy who runs Money Saving Expert. I think he tried to get that to stop over time with phone bills, I think it was. Yeah,
because the thing is, I understand the point that they're making, but they're making it sound like if we don't adjust it, and
they make it sound like our pay packet is always being improved. It's not. Our pay packet sometimes flat.
No, and that's a real thing. Or it's increasing, but if things like that increase lower than the rate of inflation, then ki hoga?
Yeah.
So go on. Talk about the UK.
Well, let's talk about the UK prices then. So we thought we'd do some digging. We've got 5 Gurdwara here. We've got the biggest Gurdwara in the UK, Gravesend. We've got one in Rochester called Mebway. We've got one in Bow, which is in East London. One in Sheffield, which is far up north. And we've got one in Northampton, which is not that far up north. It's like north of London. Which isn't north. It's just, kind of mid-southy. Mid-southy?
Lovely geography.
Mid-southy. Mid-southy.
What he said.
Of the UK.
Yeah.
Or of England, I guess I should say, not the UK. Anyway, let's go through it.
Cool.
Right, I've got prices for Akant Part, Sukhmani Sahib, Sage Part, a funeral, and Anand Karaj. Let's get the funeral out of the way because that's only got one price. For some reason, Gravesend Gurdwara listed a funeral, £350 flat.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good or bad because I couldn't compare against the others. And for those that are asking, why don't you do my Gurdwara or why don't you do the ones that you know about that are local to you? This is what I sourced online because I'm trying to find out places that have it online. And there's some Gurdwara that have said, yes, their website is launching any day now, and it had a countdown timer. It was all set to 0, and it was still waiting to be launched. So, several hours to get on it. Sort your Gurdwara website.
If you're looking for an opportunity, that sounds like a good opportunity. You got some web designers out there.
Go and do it, man, because Gurdwara need it. I'm telling you. Right. Gravesend Gurdwara, gold standard. The one that costs the most.
The gold standard.
It is, man. When it comes to any sort of ceremony, you always think Gravesend Gurdwara first.
What do you mean?
Prestige, event size, hospitality, capacity. It's massive.
The biggest venue.
Biggest venue, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Gravesend Gurdwara. We've had a few friends of ours that have reached out and said they were fleeced by the Gurdwara itself. For reasons why that is, I do and don't know. But some have booked an event there, had it set in stone. A couple of weeks out prior to it, they had a phone call of somebody saying the person you called or spoke to here was not authorized to give you that price. Your price has gone up by $1,000. Pay it now. And they've got nowhere else to go. I think it was for their Anand Karaj. That's not okay. You hedged that yourself because that was your mistake. Yeah. That is not correct. So, not cool. These prices are not cool. Number one, a counterpart, Gravesend, £1,850. That is more expensive than the one we saw in California. And this is, by the way, all these prices are including seva by the Gurdwara, which means your langar is prepared by the Gurdwara. Yeah? So you pay for that as well on top. So this is all including langar at the end. For those who don't know the difference, there's many different ceremonies that you can have in a Gurdwara. Karan, let's quickly just go through them. A counterpart is?
The continuous reading of Guru Maharaj.
Right.
3 days.
For 3 days, yeah? Sukhmani Sahib is?
Sukhmani Sahib part is Sukhmani Sahib part. So probably an hour and a half for reading Bani, then you have some Kirtan, maybe some Katha, then Langar. So 2 hour slots is normally given, yeah.
Sage part?
Sage part, so non-continuous reading Guru Maharaj up to an specified amount of time.
Okay, and Anand Karaj?
Wedding.
Done. Now everyone knows that. Gravesend Gurdwara, £1,850 for a counterpart. Medway Gurdwara, £1,652 a counterpart.
It's a very specific number. 1652.
Yeah, 1652. Bow Gurdwara, £1,100.
Okay.
Sheffield Gurdwara, but all their prices are including no seva from the Gurdwara. I couldn't find it with seva. I don't know why. £701. Okay. Northampton, £801. Is there some London inflation going on here? It really feels like it. I couldn't get anything for West London. Sorry, South of Gurdwara.
And the other thing that doesn't look at is the day of the week you're having in Anand Karaj, for example.
So it didn't list anything specific, but it's going to edge people towards going towards a weekend always.
No, I'd say people are actually now doing it on weekdays because it is cheaper.
But the price wasn't specified if it's weekdays or weekend sensitive. It's not like a car park where you can go and say, oh yeah, on weekdays it's cheaper, but on weekends it's more expensive. It didn't give that price.
It doesn't, but for example, my local Gurdwara.
Do you reckon you could go and...
No, it is, I know for a fact.
Bargain?
No, not bargain. It's just that they have 2 rates, but they may not display it, but it is cheaper on say Friday. Okay. I've seen a lot more Friday weddings now.
Friday weddings I've seen. Sukhmani Sahibs, less.
No, again, everyone's working like Niana.
Yeah.
But again, going back to that point, who are you doing it for?
True. Okay, that's a lot. So the difference in price between Gravesend and Northampton is £1,000.
Yes, but the size of that Gurdwara, like you just said, the scale. I think we have talked about it. I was there for a wedding during lockdown COVID, and one of the Sevdas was explaining the overheads. And it's a lot. Like I get it. It is a lot.
But how long are you going to preach that for?
What do you mean?
Your overheads. And if it's the building fund thing, like Gravesend Gurdwara has been built for a long time now.
Yeah, no, but the ongoing bills.
But the ongoing bills itself, then it goes back to what Resham said. Don't be fleecing people for this. Find a standard way to get people to pay a direct debit in or something.
Yeah, so exactly.
I think that model needs to be introduced now to lower these costs.
A more regular diswand is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Because from my point of view, look, if Maya money is going into a Gurdwara, okay, and it's been used to benefit the community. For example, at Gravesend Gurdwara, they got all these like football pitches and community centres, and they're doing all these projects. There's another Gurdwara in London that Kenny talks about all the time. I can't remember, but they have like MMA. Did we go to it? Do you remember that time where I put that thing up on a story? Come and meet me at the restaurant right next to the Gurdwara.
There were loads. You mean one of the many in Southall? They were all really close together.
Elahi's Gurdwara.
Yeah. I know the one you're on about in Southall. That's right by the station.
That's it. So when we were there, I was looking at the classes they offer there, and they have so much like on-site Punjabi classes, Sikhi classes, MMA classes. Like they're doing so much. So obviously, money comes in and gets reinvested. Great.
Okay, but how
do you get the money?
Hear me out. The money that's invested for a Punjabi class, respectfully, I've seen Auntie bring the textbooks themselves, the pens and papers themselves, and run things themselves. I don't think they're getting paid for that server. right?
No, that's one auntie I'm saying, but that Gurdwara is an example of how they're doing professionally, like they're getting people ready for exams. I'm not saying all Gurdwara take the money and invest it well. Some clearly hold on to it, and I don't know what they do with it. But I'm saying if it's not criminal and they're not like laundering it and they're not kind of doing evil things and pocketing themselves, then we have to think that what is the source of doing these things if, like you said, we don't have this regular diswand and we're only going to Gurdwara every once and again, and Matha take money is like maybe £1 or £10.
Yeah.
So there has to be some income from the Gurdwara. You're right, though. A way to lower that would be
to lower that is to introduce a direct debit system.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
Yeah.
All right. Sukhmani Sahib. This is where things get a little bit more equal. Gravesend Gurdwara, £750. Medway, £652.
Yeah.
Bow Gurdwara, East London, £475.
Yeah.
Sheffield Gurdwara, £351.
Yeah.
Northampton, £251.
Oh, I got nice little
gradual drops.
Northampton surprises me there.
A lot cheaper.
Yeah, but that surprised me. I thought Northampton, because it's kind of not London, but it's nearer London. I thought Sheffield.
It might be a really small Gurdwara.
Yeah, it might be.
And therefore lower cost. Serge Bard, this is where it gets odd. Gravesend Gurdwara, £900. Medway Gurdwara, £1,002. Bow Gurdwara, £800. Sheffield, £401. Northampton, £301.
A lot of spread there.
Yeah. It's just, none of this seems consistent.
PFA, isn't it?
PFA?
Plucked from air.
Plucked from air.
Yeah.
PFA to me means Professional Footballers Association.
Okay.
So, big difference, mate.
Yeah, PFA plucked from air.
Bad use of acronym. Anand Karaj is the one you've all been waiting for. £1,100 for Gravesend. £572 for Medway. Bow Gurdwara has some insane costings. I'm going to come to that in a second. Sheffield, £701. Northampton, £501. Let me take you through how complex it is for weddings, and I've never seen anything like this before. Anand Karaj, £350 deposit for booking, non-refundable.
Okay.
Written in block capitals. Then penalties are given for
this is wild.
For the guy being late, the bride's family being late for lava. Not just being late to Gurdwara, being late for lava.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about this now. I'm like, if you
by the way, the penalty is £250.
Yeah.
So someone's sitting there with a time like Sir Alex Ferguson.
Not insignificant, is it, amount of money?
Tapping the watch.
If you're having a fine, that says to me, much in the same. Remember in your wedding, there was a wedding happening straight after yours.
Wasn't their fault.
Yeah. No,
it
wasn't their fault. But I'm saying that, say there's one in Anand Karaj, then overrunning on Anand Karaj, I don't see, unless they have a Sukhmani Sahib part straight after or whatever. Yeah. But if you've got multiple Anand Karajas, then if there's so much like competition for space and they're back-to-back bookings or whatever, you can't have more than 2 Anand Karaj in a day, I would think. Maybe that's why they have it, but that's weird, man. But if they instilled it, there must have been a reason why people just
maybe people were taking the mick, but that's crazy. Penalty for leaving Langar Hall untidy, £150.
Okay.
Anyway, bride's family, £350 for Gurdwara Bertha. Kitchen usage, £101. Groom family, Gurdwara Bertha, £575. Why is the groom being charged more than the bride? Civil registry, £101. Gyani and Ragi Bertha, £101. Bertha, sorry. £101. That's the most expensive out of all of these. If you put all this in. Let's say you have a normal wedding day, which is £350. The bride and groom Bertha you need is 350 plus 575. That's already north of £1,000. 1.2k. Yep. 1.2k. You're going to need a Gyani. So that's 1.3k. Kitchen usage afterwards, if you want longer, 1.4k. And if you're late, £2,000.
So let's look from the other side. So if someone said, well, okay, so most people have another cottage.
Yeah.
And then go off and go to a venue hall.
Yeah.
Well, they lost like 5 to 10k. Easy. No one bats eyelid there. So why are we looking at Gurdwaras and saying, well, it should be free or it should be like £100?
I don't say it should be free.
I know, but I'm being facetious, but I'm saying, why do we expect it to be like £100 or £200 or really cheap compared to, but then you're going to go off and pay tens of thousands, videographers, caterers. People spend £100 weddings. We know this. We talked about this.
Fair. Yeah. Park the Anand Karaj thing away. Don't be a part of the problem.
That's I'm not saying they price it for that point. I'm just saying their price is their price. It's not trying to compete, but it's like you can also spend less on the other side as well. If cost is an issue, you can also spend less on the whole thing.
I think this Gurdwara would make me, considering how many Gurdwara there are in East London, I would never get married at Bow Gurdwara. I'd go somewhere else. because they'd be much more accommodating. I have been to that
Interesting name, isn't it? What's the name? How are you spelling this?
The name Bo.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just calling it that because of the location.
Oh, right. Okay.
No. The name of the Gurdwara is something else.
Okay.
I can find it if you want.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You're saying Bo, and I was like, that's the name.
No. Sorry. That's my mistake. I should have been clearer. Yeah. This is the name of it is Gurdwara Sikh Sangat. That's it. 43 Harley Grove, London. That's not anything bad, by the way. Everyone can Google it and find the same thing that I found. Anyway, I would like some transparency behind this. Same way how Khalsa Aid will run themselves as a charity and they'll report accounts every year and they have to list it on Company's House and you can see it and it's spick and spam. I would like to call for the same thing at a Gurdwara.
How do you know Gurdwara haven't done that?
What, to list themselves online and to do the accounts?
Are charities. So
all of them.
Well, I know Karma Gurdwaras isn't required to do that. What you just said. Yeah, by definition, they should be set up as charities. I haven't checked all of them.
Just so if there's transparency behind the accounts, see how far behind they are. If your accounts are in a poor state, fair, you need to make money. I can get on board with it. But yeah, it feels fishy to me. And I don't like the lack of transparency and how places of worship are now going down this way. It's one thing for capitalism and, CPI index on your phone bill. Fair. But this doesn't feel right.
Okay.
Paaths.
Yeah. That's fair, obviously, but we still need, they need money. That's not...
They need money, but...
They need money. And if there's no regular way of giving it, then they need money.
Do you reckon that there's ever an argument here to say there should be, one regulator that overlooks all the Gurdwara? That will therefore be a way to sort of help maintain all this stuff, a bit like what Rishon was saying when he said we need we need to roll out a system that everybody pays into and then it goes to your local place, or that all of them follow the same methods or prices depending on your Gurdwara, or you all should adhere and post your accounts. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too simplistic,
optimistic. Maybe. I think, look, if they are registered charities, then charities already have these regulations set up, which they have to adhere to, and then they'll lose their charity status. That's like national trust or whatever. So that is built into that bit, and that should cover most of it. But if they're not set up like that, like armed person, Sangat member, do we ever go in Company's House and check these things?
Well, no, but as Resham said, some people have Gurdwara set up, and the Gurdwara was set up because, hey, this is the owner who created the Gurdwara, and he was the person who ran it on his own, and now he's the Pradhan, and that's it. So how he set it up may be privy to him, no one else.
That's also true, and that's obviously unacceptable because there's no transparency.
I don't have the answer. I'd love to find a way to get the answer. Don't know what it is. But anyway, I just thought that was out of control, the pricing. And for other people out there, let us know your experiences of Kharcha at Gurdwara. Obviously, it wasn't an Indian doctor segment without reading out what the person said about the whole post on Twitter. Canadian prices are even crazier. Someone says your bio says you're 50-50, so at least you have a choice. But it's 50-50 because they live half in Canada, half in America, not in 50-50 in heritage. Okay. Someone said there's a $12,000 starting, I fear, in one of ours.
12, that's starting for what?
12, it just says starting in KC. I don't know what KC is. Why is it cheaper on Wednesday? No one knows. Supply chain crisis. So what would happen if someone can't afford those prices? You've got to ask one of your Amritari friends who know people and come and do a SGGSJ Deepoti at home slide through for you.
So that's Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj.
Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Deepoti.
Let me see.
Pothi.
Pothi, yeah. So Pothi is so you've obviously got Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, actual Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj.
Yeah.
Then you have smaller Pothiyan, which are like parts of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. You might like 4 or 6.
Right.
So it's not complete in itself, but you can read from a Pothi Sahib.
Oh, Pothi Sahib. Sorry, I understand now. Like a small, okay, got it. Understood.
Like bigger than a Gurdwara.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have made that up yourself and put it up. Put up the name of the Gurdwara Sahib in this. Okay. Anyway.
I think one of those comments there, which is, if you come from a lower economic standing and you cannot afford it, that is a real thing. And
man.
Hopefully there are, in the same way, like university schools have like scholarships, there is like enough built up in the system reserves, PESA, that you can be like, it's fine. How that you then make sure that doesn't get scammed and people are real and they're not like lying and you don't have to check their bank statements, I don't know. But you would hope there is some daya and compassion in what we're talking about in Sikhi that allows for that to happen.
Would be nice.
Yeah, look, it probably does happen. I don't know if it does or doesn't happen, but I hope it happens.
On the topic of Gurdwara, we may as well keep going down this rabbit hole. So, did you see this clip about a speech that was happening in a Gurdwara?
Professor Saab at Anand Karaj.
जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना अगली लाइन बोलो यहाँ कल क्या हो किसने जाना so live life for every day राज के जियो खुशियां सारे एडल्ट या ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਪਰਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੋਲੀਕੂਲਰ weight ਨੈਨੋਗ੍ਰਾਮਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਥੱਲੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਐਗ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਕਰੀਬਨ 100,000 ਟਾਈਮਸ ਬਿਗ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੋ ਅਗਰ ਇੱਕ ਸਪਰਮ ਇੱਕ ਐਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਤੇ 7 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਦਾ ਬੇਬੀ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦਾ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਅਮੀਰ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਗਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰੈਪਿਡਲੀ ਮਲਟੀਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਝੋਲੀ 'ਚ ਪਾ ਦੂਗੀ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਗੰਦਿਆ ਬੋਲ ਲਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਰੈਪਿਡਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਹੀ ਮਲਟੀਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਝੋਲੀ 'ਚ ਪੈਣ ਸੋ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਪਰੂਵ ਹੋਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਸੋ ਵਾਟ ਐਵਰ ਗਿਵ ਟੂ the woman has ability to multiply and give it back to you that's the only beauty of nature ਸਮਾਜ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਨੇਚਰ ਦੀ ਬਿਊਟੀ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਕਾਫੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ
Okay.
Play the apology.
Why? Oh, is an apology?
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਦਾਸ ਪ੍ਰਗਟ ਸਿੰਘ ਪਰਚੀ ਆਪਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਮੁਖਾਰ ਬੰਦਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਕੱਲ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਰੌਸ ਸਟਰੀਟ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਜਦ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੁਝ ਬਚਨ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਲੋ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਗਾਣਾ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਮਾਫੀ ਮੰਗਦਾ
Oh dear. Okay, number one, singing in the Gurdwara. I don't know if that's allowed. Unless it's Kirtan.
Yeah, obviously. Kirtan is obviously allowed.
Yeah.
The things about this clip are...
No. Answer the question. Answer the point. Don't go into that. Let's talk about the singing part first. Is that allowed?
No.
Okay, no. Mistake number one.
It's not wrong, it's inappropriate.
Okay. Mistake number two.
Yeah.
Talking about sperm.
Again, it's science. It's not wrong. It's just inappropriate.
Correct.
It's inappropriate.
Can you translate what you said, please, for those who don't understand?
Which bit? All of it?
All of it, basically. Give me the TLDR.
Yeah. So the first bit is obviously a popular Hindi song. The thing that made me laugh is even... Agle line bolo like some... Bro.
Like it's a sing-along.
Sing-along.
Like everyone knows the song,
from
bro.
this day. But it's not like I say Viah, you say Guru. Like it's not...
I say what? Guru.
Guru. I did it with the kids when I was trying to get them into.
Do you actually? That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So the translation of that bit of that Hindi song is fine. Like that's a good message, but you're in a Gurdwara, which means you can use Gurbani references to make the same point. That's probably the more appropriate way of making it. So why he chose that example and he sang it, and then as for the next line, he's like, okay, just stop. And then, without any pause, ek sperm hunda, weight, and then he talks about the weight of the sperm, and basically he's just saying it's so small. The egg, the ovum, it is 100,000 times bigger. And then he just gets so graphic. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਦੀ male ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, the fusion 7 pound ਦਾ baby ਨਿਕਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ. And I was like, and he's like, Choli, like, is like, I think it's like a metaphor for the khushiyan that you'll come. You know, like when you get married and you have this ropa and people put maya in their paise. Think of it like a metaphor for that, but like other spiritual things that you were given in your choli, you'll get gifts from God, right? Now he's talking, that's what a bacha is a gift from God. But it's like, if you give to the woman, she will give you 100,000 times back. This is the only law of the nature. And that bit, I'm like, oh, okay, I think your command of English at that point is obviously not the only law of nature. So he's lost it at that bit.
Yeah.
So it's, use a Gurbani reference, don't sing, don't ask people to sing along. Then don't get so graphic about sperm and eggs and intercourse and...
In a Gurdwara.
Like...
it's meant to be like, oh, have a lifetime of happiness.
Yeah, no,
respect one another.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen like good people have talked about they focus on what the lava is saying in terms of, like, we did a whole clip about what the actual Anand Karaj is and the child lava.
Yeah.
Or they've talked about, like marriage advice. Like, they make it funny. Like, Granthi Singh will be like,
at nighttime, when you go to sleep, you know, 2 words. Thank you and sorry. That's it. Those are your words you say to your wife every night.
When you are right, you're wrong. When you're wrong, you're wrong. Like, stuff like that is good.
On the nose stuff. Yeah, I get that.
I like that kind of stuff.
But this is...
But I don't think he's not an evil person. Clearly.
I know, but if I was a bride and groom, I'd have been busting up, man.
Well, they've asked him to do it. So they obviously know this person.
I still would have been busting up. I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like that uncle who came up to me saying, if you need help making children, call me. Remember that one?
Hmm?
I told you this and my dad said it again.
Oh, yeah.
Came up to us. He's like, remember the name. Whatever his name was. I clearly don't remember the name right now. But he said, you know, please don't wait until you have children. If you have any problems, call me. I was like, what are you going to do? You're going to... Yeah. You're going to give me a live demonstration or something? Like, I don't understand.
He will get the sperm.
Very weird.
And the egg. Do you know the male hundi na? 7 pound of the baby. Very specific as well. Not 5 pounds, not 10 pounds. 7 pound of the baby.
I don't know why it's 7 pound. That's very odd.
He's so happy though when he's delivering.
Very happy.
Because das thodi flow de vich koi ganna keh diya kehte. There's a longer clip of him because somebody made that and then they said he's not the first time he's done this. There's another clip of him doing something very similar and then he had to apologize. Another apology video. The same guy.
They stop giving him a microphone. You know, everyone says not all podcasts should have a microphone or make microphones more expensive. Yeah. Make them off limits in the Gurdwara.
What would be so we're in the future now and the bride and groom have asked you, Indy, to give a few words.
Absolutely not.
No, but yeah, I get it. You wouldn't, but you had to now. So you're on the mic.
I'm good.
What are you saying? Go.
Nothing.
Come on, you got to say something.
Absolutely nothing.
What would be your message?
Nothing.
After 50 years of marriage.
Have a good life.
And what's the secret? Yeah,
there is a secret. Consistency is key. Just like a podcast. That's
fair. Marriage is hard.
Show it for each other every day. That's it.
You got some gun there.
Okay.
Cool. Drop your gun in it. Just don't
you might end up hating each other. That's very okay.
You'll be like, there will be days when you want to strangle each other. But
you resist.
Ultimately,
you love each other.
Love hunda, yeah.
Yeah. You don't know that feeling yet. You're probably still happy to see each other.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not in that place yet, but you know, everybody says that same thing to me. So I'm like, oh, it's going to happen eventually then, I guess.
What? You're not in what place yet, sorry?
Where they say, you know, you hate your partner, you want to kill him, all that stuff. Like, okay.
No, you have 200% on the road to pyar, do you?
What do you mean?
Don't got pyar every day perfect?
No, not everything's every day perfect, but I never wake up feeling great disdain for my partner.
What
does that mean? Yeah, she snores, but I don't want to hate her.
No, I'm not saying hate her.
No.
No.
You know what I do? I turn over aggressively in the bed.
Go.
I roll over aggressively.
Right. No. So
it starts her. So she moves.
What position is he in?
Huh?
When you're doing this? Away or
I don't
back?
look over. I just hear it.
Right. And so you're turned away at this point. So you can't see it.
So I'm turned away. But then what I do is I'm awake. So I will turn myself aggressively.
Yeah.
Which shakes the bed.
In the hope that.
And then she moves. And then it stops.
Rather than just going.
No. Because I never want to knock someone out of their sleep. Not unless it's early in the sleep, like the first hour.
Oh, is that acceptable, is it?
Yeah, because in the first hour, they tend to forget that I've woken them up.
Got it. No, but okay, you don't want to do that because you don't want to wake them up, but the thing you're doing probably will wake them up.
No,
right?
It doesn't. It certainly wakes them up and prompts them to move, like turn. Because they turn a little bit.
Science, ladies and gentlemen, science.
It's not science. It's just
science.
Depends on the sensitive sleeping ability of your partner.
And the key, from what he said, was he aggressively turns over.
Yeah. Not even. All right. Last thing to talk about on this is, did you see the footage that leaked of those kids fighting in the Gurdwara Darbar Sahib?
There's 2 instances here.
I'm just talking about this one in this moment.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the footage was quite disturbing. I'm not going to share it anywhere. A few people DM'd us saying, have you seen it? I said, yes. Please stop sharing it because it is a minor or a bunch of minors involved because they look to be under 16.
Yep.
Therefore, those kids should not be having that posted everywhere or sent around everywhere. It is sad to see that kids are doing this in a Gurdwara. However, a few people came up with some spicy takes. A lot of things I didn't agree with.
Yep.
For example, blaming the community they're from, saying it's because they're from Birmingham and Birmingham's a shithole. And I thought...
And he's not... that's verbatim. That's what people are saying, verbatim.
Yeah. And I'm not making that up. That is what they said. That is one of the stupidest takes I've ever heard. It shouldn't matter where you come from. It shouldn't matter who you're surrounded by. You do not call one generic city or where people are from a shithole. Those same shitholes, as you call them, are where a lot of our parents came from, came to the UK, settled, built a family, built the life that we all have and are very comfortable with, and we moved on from there. And we were lucky enough to be able to move on from there.
Or haven't moved on from there.
Or haven't, because some of them do want to stay there because that's their home to them. And that's very okay too. Each to their own. But do not say stuff like that. That is so sweepingly generic.
Yeah, it's an oversimplification of this situation.
It is one of the dumbest takes I've ever seen. Blaming it on just where someone's from. Not thinking of like the bigger communal problem with it, which is how do you stop this kind of behavior? Do you need more work in a Gurdwara that is trying to welcome kids in to stop them from doing these kind of things? Does you always need an adult on premises in a Gurdwara just to supervise kids to make sure they're not doing pottekam? Whether it's in a Gurdwara or outside, and you can't stop it from outside, I get it. But this is a place of worship that we physically have control over. Can we put some precautions in place, maybe?
Difficult,
but I'm just spitballing ideas.
Yeah. Like I know recently, or not so recently, but in my local Gurdwara, there's an issue where obviously Gurdwara's open to everybody, right? So sometimes you get people who are not Sikh coming in, have langar, whatever the circumstances, but obviously they have to be respectful.
Yeah.
I think recently had somebody who'd come in clearly drunk. And so since then, they have a volunteer Paradar system. So people volunteer on a rota, they turn up and they basically do security.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, fine. You're saying could there be like a paid? Maybe you think advocating for a paid security person.
Not even just an elder. Elder.
Again, somebody has to do that. So like we have busy lives, we haven't got the time to do it. So if there is somebody who's able to do it, plus that would be a secondary to the running of the, let's say, the langar, which would be take more priority.
It looked like this was after hours.
It did look
after Darbar Sahib.
I think it looked even much later than that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so there's a certain number of people in Gurdwara at the time. Surely you should be cognizant of where everyone is or what they're doing, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But the kids are kids, and they've got a good way of getting away and just not hiding, but just playing games and whatever. The thing is,
pull your mic up, man.
The fighting itself, like boys will be boys, right?
That's not an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse. But scrapping, like you said, scrapping inside the Darbar Sahib is an issue. Shouldn't be done. Take someone to start off inside.
Huh? Tighten it up. Yeah. Tighten it.
Yeah. Doing that in front of Guru Maharaj, taking off someone's dastar, completely unacceptable. Boys fine, boys are going to be boys. What can we do to combat this? What I'm seeing is the line is difficult. Getting kids into Sikhi, good thing. Easier if you start them young. Agreed. I have Ekam now making efforts that she hopefully falls in love with Sikhi and she keeps it, throughout her life. But obviously there comes a point where you might be then surrounded by other people and then feel like, oh yeah, I know Sikhi, or I want to practice my Sikhi in a certain way. And you can get a bit cocky with it, right? This is what I see. And in that phase, so this kind of relates a bit more to the other clip. For example, I've seen young Singhs walking around with like multiple Shastar, 3-foot kirpans. And I'm like, okay, you feel that this is important and that if I don't have said number of Shastar, 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be, then, I'm not staying in that. Like, as in they have a reason for why they're doing these things. But if you're not understanding why you're carrying Shastar and it's becoming a very small thing, the discussion we were having earlier, which was to get this protected as an article of faith, the same with having the start in schools, these were things fought by people 2-3 generations before these kids.
Yeah.
So they didn't know the struggle of when they came here, the racism, everything.
Yeah.
So now that it is in place and protected, to then jeopardize that with kind of a loose acts of, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Is just not responsible. It's obviously now it's hard for them to understand that because they don't know, but that's the thing we need to do to get them to understand that this is the value of this. And yes, Shastar is a part of your Sikhi, but there are other parts of Sikhi, and those are, like common, decent things. Act responsibly, act with respect, don't do pottekam.
Yeah. Does a lot of this go back to finding a way to teach kids correctly of how to handle themselves when it comes to taking Amrit or carrying Shastar, or do we need to tell people how to just behave properly with this stuff because their kids are going to make mistakes.
Which
I understand that.
Yeah.
But is there like a gap missing of understanding there that needs to be filled? And I'm not massively involved in this. It's very easy for me to say this from the outside looking in. I know what everyone's thinking. That's completely fine. But as somebody who is relatively moderate when it comes to Sikhi, seeing something like that was very disheartening and it was very upsetting. And I thought, I don't want this to get into the right hands of some political antagonist online who then says these horrible things about Sikhs. And now we have a problem.
Exactly. If it becomes a discussion, talking point, they shouldn't be carrying this, is outdated. Fine, we understand Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj and the Khalsa needed it. What needs it today? It's outdated. They shouldn't carry Shastra. That, like, I can see that discussion coming up, right?
Yeah.
And so for us not to have that, for us to be kept in the kind of the right line, which is Sikhs are people who contribute to society, they fought in the world wars, like all these good things that have been done, then you need to have all these other elements as well. Yes, they are kids, which then comes down to, I always, like, I know you made the point there, which is about what is the role of the Gurdwara. There is the role of the Gurdwara, there's the role of your friendship group, and there's obviously peer pressure that can impact that. And then obviously there's the role of the parents, right? Which is what you're learning. Your point about Amrit, I think that's an interesting thing, which is, I don't know what it is. I think in Christianity, you have to be of a certain age to have conscious awareness to the thing you're, for be baptized essentially, you have to then understand what you're taking on.
Yeah.
And that's to stop people doing it too early and not doing it properly, essentially not respecting what they should be doing. I don't know if there is, because obviously Amrit is freely available, right? There's no like test you have to
We
pass.
don't know if anything else is in place for that.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know if people have conversations with people who are considering Amrit to not vet them, but so they understand, look, this is your Nityanam, this is your
the significance of it, yeah.
Significance, what you
but
need
again,
to be doing.
that comes down to who, when you take Amrit, there's a Gyani who tells you everything, right?
No, it's Panjabiyari.
Okay, so a member of the Panjabiyari, or all 5 of them?
Yeah. No, so you're talking about who gives you your ret and what you should be doing?
Yes. Yes to which bit?
No, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know.
Okay, so the people who...
One of the Panjabiyari or all the Panjabiyari are going to give you some instruction.
They need to give you a full guideline of exactly what to do, how to handle yourself, etc. And if you're in breach of it, you might need to have a discussion about it being taken away from you. Maybe. I don't know what that looks like, but...
Called Pesh. So if you break your Amrit, then there's a...
There is a protocol for it.
There is a protocol.
I don't know what it is, but
what I'm saying is, what you're saying is correct. That's kind of, obviously you're fully committed. You're having Amrit right now. You're being given and told things. But in the pre-build up, there needs to be, even before you get to that step.
Yeah.
And what I hope is that, look, I can give you my own example. When I was young, there was a phase where I got into Gataka, right? Really got into Gataka. And one of my friends, like, who's a lot older than me, remembers me. He's like, yeah, I used to see you on like Vaisakhi at the Gurdwara, and you'd be in the car park walking around with this stick, like just doing Gataka, like not hurting anyone, not hitting any cars or anything. But that was my phase. Like, he goes, yeah, you used to wear like black kurta pajama, you used to do Gataka all day for like 7 hours. That was a phase, right? And what I would hope is that kids kind of grow up and they understand that there are such deep spiritual elements to Sikhi. And I'm not talking about I'm not going down the kind of Dil Saf route kind of things. But I said this to Beyant actually the other day when we were talking, which is about Santa Sapai, right? There's 2 aspects to it, saint, soldier. But the saint comes first. That's a really important thing. I remember when I was studying Sikh Itihas, and you think about Guru Granth Dev Ji to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, there was no Shastra. We didn't take any arms. Miri Piri came with Shri Guru Hargobind Sahib because there was a need that's often forgotten. Samadhi Mang.
It should be seen as a last resort. Is what I was taught,
always last resort,
etc.
Exactly that. But your Bhakti, your Sikhi, your Simran, all that. And the reason it comes out first is because you only want the people who are responsible. To then be able to wield Shastra. Otherwise, it's just vigilantes, isn't it, walking around. There's a great book in Barney, which is Jako Har Rang Laga Es Jogame So Kahete Hai Sura, which translates to, he alone is known as the warrior. He alone is known as the warrior who is attached to the Lord's love in this age. That's the definition that Guru Maharaj gives of the warrior, not the person who's carrying the most number of Shastra and all these things. It's that old adage about you'd rather have, the gardener who's a warrior or something, a warrior in a garden.
You'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
In a war, yeah. And that's the right adage. You've got to have a person who knows they can do something but chooses not to, has control,
Yeah.
That's the person you want. And I think that's the point. So yeah, just summarizing this bit we're talking about, very disheartening to see. I'm glad, obviously, the apology videos came out.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Go on.
Is this a deeper problem? I don't know. How far does this go? I don't know. I just don't want to see this too often because, as I said, in the hands of the wrong person, getting the hold of a video and it's circulating, fuck me, is that a bad thing to be and a bad place to be? And you'll see us having to go through the same battles that we once had to in the past again.
Repeating exactly. And do we?
All it takes is one tweet from one extremist. Bang.
Do we have the same fortitude, like our ancestors who they just took it, man, and they just I don't know how they did it. They came here. They were minorities. They were outlawed.
Yeah.
Paggan were taken off. Like so much happened.
Yeah.
And they were resolute. They could have gone back to India, man. All the people that came were like, "This isn't for us. Let's go back." They didn't though. So if you're going to be here, then look, act responsibly and
do it properly.
Like Man Singh said, the ekta, right? Like, if you want taraqi for the Sikh Panth, then you've got to stop all this infighting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't move forward, and we're just there,
you said that about anything, man. Just infighting in Sikh, infighting in brown community, whatever.
Yep.
Like, it's always going to be there.
And all we can say, as sort of from our perspective, or
creators that have a platform,
is be examples. That's it.
Yeah, please stop doing silly stuff, man. My God. Very easy to spin a narrative, and I don't want that happening. Happy?
Listen, I'm happy, man. I'm from Birmingham.
Birmingham is not a shithole.
Thank you. Yeah.
London is not a shithole. Bradford is not a shithole.
Because what we said, what were the alternatives? Just all bloody escape to the country, isn't it? Like, go and live
if you escape to the country, then it's just pure nasha.
That's it.
That's what people do, man.
Nashe mari jande hain. That's it.
Would you rather have stabbing in the streets? Nasha at night? Neither, hopefully. But escaping to the country ain't the answer you think it is. It really isn't. Not any Gurdwara in the outskirts of the Cotswolds, are there? Exactly my point. All right, next segment. Welcome to another edition of Lyrics. Hashtag Lyrics by Indian Doctor.
Please tell me it's not Dukhi though.
No.
If I'm some fun lyrics.
No. It kind of is a bit Dukhi.
Oh, yeah.
But you sent this one that we need to go through.
No. Oh. Body barsi khadkle aanda. I can't remember what he says. Got the karate chop.
He didn't say karate chop.
What did he say?
He just said karate.
I think
listen again. Hi karate. You made up the chop.
He says what?
Yeah.
Now, this is the same dude. See, he's been missing for a long time.
He's not been missing.
No, from the internet, man. I've been trying to find his videos. I sent a video to my master before my wedding. This is 2017.
That was old school.
No, it's him.
Old school Desi.
Body buzzy cutting and the famous grouse.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody, dance outside the house.
Yes.
And he was the rabies guy, man. Rabies and ladies.
What did he say?
Body buzzy cutting and the rabies. Come on, ladies, dance outside the house.
He was like everybody outside the house, dance with the ladies or something. Yeah.
He was the rabies guy, the famous grouse guy, karate chopper guy.
He's got some good Boliyan though.
He has stage presence.
Like, why did you do that? Why?
He's got stage presence. Yeah. You guys, this is just booking karni hai na, tusi book karo.
Listen, those are the lyrics we're here for. However, this week, Trump and Elon had a massive fallout. And if you follow Indian Doctor on Instagram, you will see that I posted a video from Subji Hunter on Twitter where somebody, in the space of Trump fighting and this, had made a montage of the lyrics to Excuses and put it all together in like a 20-second thing, talking about how they fell apart, and then bang. I thought the 20 seconds of brilliance.
Genius.
Done. So good. So I thought, let's go through the excuses. The lyrics to Excuses. Okay. You know how deep these lyrics are? It's actually quite mad. Now I have to sing it, don't I?
That's the best part of the show, this is.
Okay, wait there. Wait.
Do you want to warm up or anything? Are you okay?
I'll be alright.
You got like gala exercises?
I'm not going to do that. I'll just read the lyrics.
Garam tata.
12 saal mahajya chiraiyan chadda tak hazarani. Grazed buffaloes for 12 years and had to abandon Takht Hazara. This is a reference apparently in the story of Heer Ranja, where Ranja sacrificed 12 years of his life and spent that working as a servant for his father. Har sa naal yaad tenu karde.
Har saal.
Oh, what did I say?
Har saal. I know what you're saying.
Har sa naal yaad tenu karde rahe. We were remembering you with every breath.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. If
not har saal. Har sa. Is it sa? Har saas or sa?
No, sa. S-A-A-H.
Yeah, sa. Every breath I'm remembering. Saal is yeah. Har sa naal.
Har sa. Okay.
Yeah. Har sa.
If someone else will do the same, then we'll know. Oh, the one that has given excuses to my heart. You'll find out when your heart breaks too. Please, you need to go and do some happy things, AP. Please, go and do some happy things. Because genuinely, your lyrics are heartbreaking, bro. My God.
But every video you smile karda yaar tu.
Mera dil naal lari.
This is a hard lyric, isn't it? Because you're end going, Mera dil naal lari.
Mera dil naal lari ni tu laun wali hai.
Laun wali hai. Say, laun wali hai.
Dil tera jadu tutta gaya ta pata laguga.
Pata laguga, you'll know.
Yeah. But when you start saying it really slowly, it's hard.
Pata laguga. Yeah, buddy.
That's exactly how we do it,
Very
man.
good. AP, je thonu backup singer di lord hegi hai, Indy sing kheda tiyar hai. Hanji.
Gurinder Gill's stuff is quite deep.
Who?
Gurinder Gill.
Gurinder Gill?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because he sings it. It's not G minor.
Okay.
You're thinking G minor is the producer.
Okay.
Gurinder Gill was the guy who came up with him at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that guy. And then he broke off with his own stuff.
Yeah. Kendi hundi si.
Kendi
That's all I know.
hundi si.
Chan takara bana de.
Oh, chan takara bana de.
You used to say to me, make me a path to the moon. Tare ni pasand menu.
Tare ni pasand.
Heta sare la de. I love stars. Bring them all down to me. And this is where it gets tough.
Right.
What is it?
Hanji.
Ona tariyan de vich jado menu bekonge. Fucking hell.
Bekonge.
Yeah. Bekonge or not bekonge?
Bekonge chal fir.
Bekonge. When you'll see me through those same stars, mere yaad jadon aungi, then
you'll remember me.
Then pata laganga. You'll realize when you'll realize it when you remember me then, and then it's the same thing. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna try and go through that again. You didn't like the mansion I built for you in my heart. I had some precious flowers and planted them in the garden of that mansion.
Kya baat hai?
Giza.
No mortgage. Mansion banaya.
In my heart.
Dil de vich.
Heart. Metaphorically. Please just cheer up, bro. We should start reading like Warnur. Oh no, that's sad too. What happy songs has he done? Except for he did a song called STFU, which is like the other extreme.
Brahman is pretty happy.
Sure. Brahman is, yeah.
Brahman, yeah. I was thinking about generally happy songs. Jatadi Pasanda, man. I mean, it's pretty
Listen, we will go through that.
And
I think we'll do 1 week old school, 1 week new school.
Jigiro and Hatol.
Last week was Challa, which was incredibly depressing.
Challa from Jalla.
This is upsetting. Right. Next week, let's think of a happy song.
Jatadi Pasanda. Ya to Jigiro da. Ya Dasja Meline.
Let's like which
Dasja. Which I
think
which town you from?
Because you did a reaction video to Dasja.
Hanji.
We can probably do that again.
Hoppiya de palana da chachin na mulya.
You're so fresh inside.
Yeah.
It's actually mad. The way you did that little head tilt. Oh, by the way, we had a lit night out, just to tell people.
Hanji.
We went to go see Viah with Daman, my brother Bubby, Daman's lovely wife Jas, Sanj, Gurdon, and I. We all went out and we were sitting at dinner.
Yep.
And we thought,
Hanji.
Tonight, the objective tonight is to get Daman recognized. Get it if you want. Yeah, go on. The objective of the night was to get Daman our good friend, the comedian who's been on a couple of times, to be spotted by Veer to open for him. And we said, Dunman, why don't you do a sign? And this sign will say, can I open for you? And we were thinking, how do we make a sign? Let's get the back of a pizza box and let's just write on it with a pen. And he was like, oh, I don't know. I said, look, if you do it, we'll do it. We will say on the back of our sign, Veer G, will you come on our podcast? And Dunman's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe, bring it here. I said, maybe we can, maybe we won't. And then Dunman said, I don't know. And then Jas, his lovely wife, said, listen, I'm going to take a executive decision here. No, we are not doing that, because I will hear later that Dunman is upset that we did that and forced him into it, which is a fair statement. So shout out Jas for stopping Dunman from the
manager moves right there.
We then thought, let's write it out. And we were going to write V to come on the podcast. And my brother said, say V to G, because apparently if somebody calls it V to G, you can't say no. Yep. This was the sign we had made. V to G, come on our podcast. And I'm holding this pizza box on me the whole time in the event.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to do it at the start. I'm going to do it at the end. At the start, no one stood up to do a standing ovation from coming to the stage. I thought, well, fuck, I can't do it now. Then throughout, I was going to hold it up. Then he started ripping on podcasts for like 3 different parts of his jokes. And I thought, maybe this is a bad idea. And then it came to the end. Towards the end, he said, last joke. I was like, okay. Now I've got it in my lap.
Yeah, he went to go D. I was like, Indy's going to do it.
In my lap.
Indy's going to do it. I
was like,
come on, Indy.
If I don't do it, I'm worried that I will be called a wuss for not doing it after giving it 10. And also, Sanj took time to make this, and I don't want a hard work to go to waste. So he said, thank you guys, thank you. And I put this up, and Gurdwara starts vigorously pointing at it because we're second row. And he said, what does that say?
And he goes,
said,
what does it say?
Come on our podcast. He said, what's your podcast name? The Indian Doctor. He's like, I'll try. That's it. Goodbye. I was like, sorted. That's a yes.
Peaceful?
Peaceful. Very peaceful.
He
kept saying peaceful every time that he was.
It was like an okay. He was checking. He was like, peaceful.
Yeah.
Peaceful.
Shout out Vidah. Very funny.
Very
good
funny.
night out.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get him on. If you guys want to send this clip to him, you can. We have a post on Instagram shouting at him saying, hey, you said you consider it. Will you consider?
I don't know why you got American. I was just about to say, you know how you do the shopping whopping, right?
Yes.
I was about to say, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ tag share ਕਰ ਦੋ.
Tag share.
I was like, ਨਹੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ.
Tag share.
Tag share ਕਰ ਦੋ. ਹਾਂ, that would have been better. Yes.
Good Lord, Karan, you ganda munda. You can't even mute it. Go over there. Cough that with. There's no mute button. We're not digital.
Yeah. So what are you telling me to mute? Also, I had the pleasure of watching the French Open final with Indy today. Now, watching sports events with this man is the most confusing.
It's fantastic.
No,
I send you on a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
Don't even try it.
I'm not even denying that.
Yeah.
He's the most inconsistent fan there is.
Absolutely.
1 minute, Alcatraz is finished.
Alcaraz.
He's finished. And then, oh my God, he's the best man in the world.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I was like, whoa, damn. How do you do that?
No.
I never called him like the second coming of Rab.
You said quite a few things.
I said many things.
Your feet said more things. You said one thing which I'm not going to repeat on camera.
You are not going to repeat that on camera.
Things about injections. When you see him, ask him about his injections.
Nope.
Now, when I confided in Sanj, when she came down, she says, yeah, he does that.
I get like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I get very into it.
Like
can't help it.
0-100.
However, only in the presence of certain people.
Yes.
When I'm out and about with randoms, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I just get really quiet.
Just get dookie in it, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so when we were getting piped in the Europa League final to Tottenham, just sat in silence, didn't say anything, came home, sat in silence, suppressed my emotion.
But
the thing is, if I get my emotion
the semi-final,
if I get it out, fine, happy. Right?
It's quite an experience. That's all I'm going to say.
Big experience. You love every minute of it. And you're going to get it again in the future, aren't you?
No, okay.
Because we're going to a certain somewhere, aren't we? We'll find out where, won't they? Very good.
Very good.
Thank you for coming to London for this podcast. Obviously for other things.
Nice.
Other ventures were complete.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸ਼ਿੰਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਇਆ okay doubt ਨਾ ਕਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਏ
we didn't just sit and do more. A lot of work was done this weekend. Shindi. Thank you people for joining us. See you next week. Goodbye. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the rest of our episodes here and don't forget to subscribe here. We'll see you guys on the next one.